received the audio conversations between the match officials involved in the VAR controversy in the match at Tottenham on Saturday. Liverpool did make a formal request to the PGMOL for the audio and asked to hear the conversations which took place in full. The audio has now been shared with the club and it is being reviewed, although at this stage it's unclear if it will be publicly released. However, the PGMOL have not ruled out releasing the audio around the incident before the next edition of Mic'd Up, the organisation's new monthly programme, which is broadcast on Sky Sports, which includes previously unheard audio from decisions between on-field officials and the VAR team. Liverpool are unhappy and released a statement after Luis Diaz's goal was incorrectly ruled out against Tottenham. Meanwhile, the officials involved in the VAR controversy, Darren England and Dan Cook, have both been stood down and will not take part in officiating any games in this weekend's Premier League fixtures. Meanwhile, it's thought that Jadon Sancho is likely to leave Manchester United in January on loan after his fallout with Red Devils boss Erik ten Hag. It's thought that Sancho has reached an impasse now in his fallout with the United boss, and it's thought that he will leave the club in January. A loan move is more likely than a permanent transfer, but various options are believed to be under consideration. Crystal Palace midfielder Eberechi Eze is facing up to 6 weeks out after picking up a hamstring injury in the victory over Manchester United last weekend. Eze was substituted just before full time as Palace beat United 1-0, but he's now facing a lengthy spell out. Palace are also without winger Michael Olise for an extended period after he suffered a hamstring injury setback. And just one other piece of football news. Southend United have agreed a takeover deal.
Out, and the 11's in full then for Lons. Bryce Samba, former Nottingham Forest goalkeeper Bryce Samba, that is, starts between these sticks. Gradit, Danso and Medina as a back three. Frankowski, Nampali's Mendy, former of Leicester City. Abdul Semed and Mercado across a midfield four. Sotoka, Thomason play behind Wahi, who scored his first goal for the club on Friday evening in that victory versus Strasbourg. As for Arsenal, Raya in goal, a back four of Tomiyasu, Saliba, Gabriel and Zinchenko, Declan Rice, Erdegaard and Havertz in a midfield three, Gabriel Jesus, Bukayo Saka and Leandro Trossard in a front three. Kick-off is coming very soon. So kick-off is fast approaching in France for this Champions League encounter between Lens and Arsenal. The French side Lens had a difficult start to the 2023-24 season, but have now won their last two games in Ligue 1 and have started to climb the table. And they also got a draw away at Sevilla in their opening group game in the Champions League. As for Arsenal, Mikel Arteta's Gunners are still unbeaten in all competitions so far this season, and that's a run they'll be hoping to maintain this evening. And also these two sides met in the UEFA Cup semi-final back in the year 2000. It's an interesting stat for you there. And team news tonight, and Lens have made three changes from the team which won 1-0 away at Strasbourg in Ligue 1 on Friday evening. Frankowski and Thomason come in, Juve, Aguila and Fulgini drop out. As for Arsenal, Mikel Arteta has made two changes from the team which beat Bournemouth 4-0 away from home in the Premier League on Saturday. Tomiyasu and Leandro Trossard come in, Ben White and Eddie Nketiah drop out. And the 11's in full then for Lens. Bryce Samba, former Nottingham Forest goalkeeper Bryce Samba, that is, starts between these sticks. Danso and Medina as a back three. Frankowski, Nampali's Mendy, former of Leicester City. Abdul Semed and Mercado across a midfield four. Sotoka, Thomason play behind Wahi, who scored his first goal for the club in that victory.
แรงหรือลองก็ไม่รู้เพื่อนๆน่าจะเป็นลองนะครับเพื่อนๆไม่ใช่แรงแล้วก็คู่อื่นด้วยนะครับวันนี้เราจะดู3คู่นะแมนยูกับกาลาตาซารายแล้วก็มาดริดกับนาโปลี
The French side Lens had a difficult start to the 2023-24 season, but have now won their last two games in Ligue 1 and have started to climb.
สวัสดีครับเพื่อนๆเข้ามาแล้วฝากกดไลค์กดแชร์กดติดตามให้หน่อยนะ
Group game in the Champions League. As for Arsenal, Mikel Arteta's Gunners are still unbeaten in all competitions so far this season, and that's a run they'll be hoping to maintain this evening. And also these two sides met in the UEFA Cup semi-final back in the year 2000. It's an interesting stat for you there. And team news tonight, and Lons have made 3 changes from the team which won 1-0 away at Strasbourg in League 1 on Friday evening. Frankowski, Abdul Samed and Thomason come in, Juve, Aguila and Fulgini drop out. As for Arsenal, Mikel Arteta has made 2 changes from the team which beat Bournemouth 4-0 away from home in the Premier League on Saturday. Tomiyasu and Leandro Trossard come in, Ben White and Eddie Nketiah drop out. And the 11s in full then for Lons. Bryce Samba, former Nottingham Forest goalkeeper Bryce Samba that is, starts between these sticks. Gradit, Danso and Medina as a back three. Frankowski, Nampali's Mendy, former of Leicester City, Abdul Samed and Mercado across the midfield
ก็วันนี้นะครับ11ตัวจริงนะครับของอาร์เซนอลนะครับประตูเป็นดาวิดลาย่านะครับผู้เซนเตอร์เป็นซาลิบากับกาเบรียลแบ็คซ้ายครับอเล็กซานเดอร์ชินเชนโกแบ็คขวาครับโทมิยาสึนะวันนี้กองกลาง3คนมีโอเดกาเดแคนไลแล้วก็ไคลฮาวเวิร์ดตัวลุกนะครับมีบุโยซาก้ากาเบรียลเจสุสแล้วก็เดลรอยทอสซานะครับเพื่อน
So kick-off is fast approaching in France for this Champions League encounter between Lens and Arsenal. The French side Lens had a difficult start to the 2023-24 season, but have now won their last 2 games in League 1 and have started to climb the table. And they also got a draw away at Sevilla in their
นี่บอลเตะพร้อมกันหลายคู่มากนะครับเพื่อนๆนี่บรรยากาศที่ฝรั่งเศสในสนามของของลองนะครับบรรยากาศดีมาก
And that's a run they'll be hoping to maintain this evening. And also these 2 sides met in the UEFA Cup semi-final back in the year 2000. It's an interesting stat for you there. And team news tonight, and Lens have made 3. So we'll leave that there, and a very warm welcome to everyone for this commentary, unofficial offshoot studio commentary of the French side Lens taking on Arsenal in Champions League match day 2 in the group stage. We have not quite kicked off.
เพื่อนเข้ามาแล้วฝากกดไลค์กดแชร์กดติดตามให้หน่อยนะครับวันนี้อาร์เซนอลครับเรา
Promises to be an interesting game for the Gunners. I mean, obviously we cannot hear the atmosphere of them, but one thing we can do is see the Lens fans right now and on our screens, and they certainly look like they're going to be up for this. And it is Samuel Wright joined by Ben White, and well, this promises to be a very interesting game as Gabriel Jesus is about to kick us off. Arsenal hoping to maintain their unbeaten start. Lens have picked up a bit of form recently, haven't they? And also, of course, did get a point in their opener away at Sevilla. Not a bad point as Jesus kicks us off. And what are your thoughts going to this game, Ben?
Yeah, good evening, Samuel. I mean, you mentioned the atmosphere, which is a shame that we can't hear it as the long ball goes all the way out for a goal kick immediately after kick-off from Arsenal. But yeah, the Stade Ballard de Lille it's a cracking stadium, a very historic team in Lens. They've gone, well, it's the best part of 2 decades, really, isn't it, since European fixtures. They were in the 2nd division of French football a few years ago, but it's been a real rise once again for a big
มาแล้วบุกเลยบุกเว้ยสล็อตมาแล้ว
They got a good draw against Sevilla in the first match day of the group stage. Bryce Samba just goes long, it's cleared out by Saliba. But for Arsenal, I mean, it's
สู้เว้ยอาร์เซนอลครับ
professional in the sense.
ใครเป็นแฟนอาร์เซนอลนะครับ
They'll be going into this game on certainly as the favourites. But every Champions League fixture, there's never a guarantee, especially when you're
นัดหน้านะอาร์เซนอลเรานี่งานหนักมากเจอซิตี้แล้ววันนี้ใส่เสื้อแมนยูมาเอาใจช่วยแมนยูเลยเนี่ยเพื่อน
Absolutely, as Samba, the former Nottingham Forest goalkeeper, has the ball at his feet, plays it forward. It's Takahiro Tomiyasu, the Japanese international, doesn't start many games these days. Did get a red card earlier this season in the Premier League away at Crystal Palace, but he does come in for the injured, you'd assume, Ben White for this game, and maybe a bit of rotation also from Mikel Arteta, but I don't believe White is on the bench. And Declan Rice
ได้ปาเต้กลับมาแล้วด้วย
Gabriel Magalhaes, who is back among the starting 11 on a regular basis after being left out of the first few league games of the season. Saliba to Tomiyasu. Arsenal might have to try and cope with this atmosphere as Declan Rice has passed towards Saka. It's a bit of a loose one.
เอาใจช่วยครับแมนยูเลยวันนี้นี่ใส่เสื้อแมนยูนี่เอาใจช่วยแมนยูเลยเนี่ยครับโอ้โหเป็นแฟนบอลของลองที่ฝรั่งเศสนี้โคตรโหดเลยนะเพื่อนๆ
1998 in the same year Arsenal actually won the Premier League as well, and 2 sides also met back in the 2000 UEFA Cup. Good ball from Zinchenko to Saka on the right hand side though. Saka now with a chance to run at the defender. Saka, in the end he's done a bit too much. Good defending actually by Mercado in the end. Really good defending, and Thomason now has it. He's surrounded by 2. Eventually Lens can try and get it clear. They will, and 3 changes in the game for Lens and just the 2 for Arsenal. The good news for Arsenal, Leandro Trossard is back fit and is starting the game. The ball's worked out, there's Frankowski on the right for the hosts. Got a 1-0 win away at Strasbourg in Ligue 1 just on Friday. It's about a day's extra rest down the Gunners. Thought the attack broke down there, but Lawson Frankowski plays one in. Good defending by Gabriel Magalhaes.
เดี๋ยวมีคู่ไหนยิงเข้านะครับเดี๋ยวเรารายงานเลย
It is, yeah, and obviously on the opposite side of the field, you highlighted Saka, who was on the right wing for Arsenal at least, and yeah, he just got his legs tangled a bit there.
ก็หวังว่าวันนี้แมนยูจะชนะนะหลังจากแพ้คริสตัลพาเลซมา 1-0
Plenty of red and yellow flags around the stadium as the arm is raised by Thomason. It's going to be an
โอ้โห
outswinger back ready for the corner.
เดี๋ยวโดนยิงเลยฮะ
Outswinger and it's options in there. It's not a bad delivery. It's eventually headed out. Right, Jesus had to complete the clearance though, and Jesus now can bring it forward. He goes to in the end. Jesus gives it away though. Jesus, who did score in the first group game against PSV at home, but after that though, he has had a couple of disappointing games in the Premier League, especially against Spurs when he missed a golden chance to put the Gunners 2-0 up. And here's Wahi, who scored his first goal for Lons on Friday evening. Great defending by Tomiyasu. Has it conceded a corner though. As much as the Japanese disagreement, the referee has given a corner. There's both players went for the ball, and it's a combination of touches really. I think the Japanese did get the last touch, and Frank Hayes
วันนี้ลองก็เล่นดีนะเพื่อนๆในลีกนี่ก็ฟอร์มดีอยู่นะ
as recently as 2020, and they're already
เอ
playing
อ
Champions League football. A massive credit to the club. Thomason this time will be an outswinger from him. This could be a bit of danger. It is Thomason who whips it in. It's a deep one. It's headed up in the air, and then eventually the ball might fall. It does, and the shot comes in. It's just wide, and it was an opportunity for Danso, who got the shot away, and Arsenal didn't quite deal with that. And 4 minutes in, a chance for the hosts.
Well, both corners of Thomason have met the head. I think it's both times met the head of Danso, and he wins the header on this occasion as well. And the second ball comes back to him, doesn't it? He chests it down. It's almost a snapshot to the near post of David Raya.
เฮ้ยลองบุกใหญ่เลยว่ะเพื่อน
Well, for his perspective, the right side.
ๆโอ้ย
But it's not far away, and it's just two
บุกใหญ่เลยว่ะเพื่อน
Simple but effective pressure from Lens to get these set pieces early on, and they've nearly punished them.
Absolutely, yes. Havertz nearly wins it back, and Jesus goes to get him behind, but the Brazilian blatantly bundles his man to the floor, and that man was Danso, the man who had the chance at the other end a moment ago. I mentioned the Lens manager Frank Hayes. He's
หายดีไม่โดนยิง
He's been a real part of this journey at the club. A second place finish last season, of course, only 1 point behind eventual champions Paris Saint-Germain on 84 points. A fantastic achievement as Saka loses out. Arsenal, and in the end Saka's fouled though. In the end, it was Mercado who was a bit too eager to win the ball back off Bukayo Saka. Bukayo Saka, 9 goal contributions in his first 9 games this season. He's only failed to contribute a goal or an assist in 1 game the whole season. Fantastic form for Saka as the ball's played out to Trossard. Good defending. It's going to be a throw in.
ไปเว้ยบุกต่อเว้ยเซนอนบุกโย่เว้ย โอ้โหดูครับซาก้าโดนลุม
But Lens have had the chance in the game so far. A shot from Danso. Declan Rice failing to clear his lines, it was, and in the end Danso got the shot away near post, and as David Raya was happy to see the ball go wide. You'd imagine he would have had it covered in a poor ball from Saliba.
ผู้อื่นนะครับก็ยังเหมือนเดิมนะ0-0กันอยู่
That's a throw in. Arsenal look quite unsettled early on in France here, don't they? They've not quite got going. It's Mikel Arteta's. We can see him on our screens now, but touchline.
ยัง0-0อยู่ทุกคู่นะครับตอนนี้
Yeah, I mean he doesn't often sit on his bench, does he, Arteta? But you can interpret it in the sense that he wants to be essentially on the touchline to maybe show his frustration toward his players, because you're right, they haven't really got going yet. You're 6 minutes in. The threat has been from Lens, barring a run down the near side from Bukayo Saka. It's probably how Lens will have wanted it to have gone. They are at home.
ผมว่าวันนี้มาเจอลองในสนามเนี่ยไม่ง่าย
Declan Rice just dispossessing Frankowski. I think it was for another throw-in to Lens inside their own half. Why he's going to look for it long. He may get onto it, but another header from Saliba, and Tomiyasu sends it long. But yeah, there you go. It's just a blind pass from Tomiyasu to the halfway line. Lens could punish them.
Absolutely could, and Saliba
สู้ครับก็ลองนี่บุกใส่เซนอนใหญ่เลยนะเพื่อนๆเซนอนยังทำเกมลุกไม่ได้เลยอ่ะไม่ง่ายเพื่อนๆมาเจอลองในฝรั่งเศส
Danso, the number 4, might have his hands full with Gabriel Jesus this evening, but so far Danso doing a fine job. Mercado has it now. He plays it forward. Really nice back heel. Really positive play. Here's Mendy, formerly of Leicester City.
อะไรวะ
Nampalys Mendy picked up a couple of victories against Arsenal while a Leicester player. And Gabriel Jesus has fouled his man there, and the Brazilian, not for the first time in the opening 7 minutes, giving away a free kick. The preferred up top to Eddie Nketiah, one of the players replaced. Jesus has been playing more on the left in the last couple of games, and a ball through now, and this could be an opportunity as Wahi has it. The ball deflected, cross comes in, and it's a header, and Raya was in trouble, it just drifts wide in the end. Believe the header might have been by Thomas at the far post, and that's another opportunity.
ไม่ได้ว่ะเพื่อนๆลองอ่ะโอ้โหแม่งคลองบอลเหนียวเนิบดูผู้เล่นแบบไอ้นี่มากเลย
Thought Raya might have been in trouble. It's a good delivery into the middle. It's not a bad header. It's always drifting wide, but in this game, isn't there, from Lons? It's got to be said.
Yeah, and you're right. It's Thomason with the header. It's Frankowski with it's a decent ball in. I just think what's lacking is just a bit more power from the header of Thomason.
ดีล้ำหน้า
It's drifting wide, as you say, and Raya is a full
like
stretch
in
to
Wah.
his far post. Now, he may have had it covered, but if there was a bit more power and a cleaner connection from Thomason, then it could have punished Arsenal. Could have seen the deadlock broken as the header would have gone into the corner. But yeah, they've started brilliantly, the home side.
They haven't. Well, here come Arsenal. Saka finds his.
8 นาทีนะจะ10 นาทีเนี่ยโหยลองเล่นดีกว่าอาร์เซนอลเยอะแยะเลยเพื่อน
Not seen much of him so far. Zinchenko finds Kai Havertz, who broke his Arsenal duck on Saturday from the penalty spot against Bournemouth.
ๆก็สวัสดีนะครับเพื่อนๆเข้ามาแล้วฝากกดไลค์กดแชร์กดติดตามให้ด้วยเด้อขอบคุณหลายๆไปครับบุกโยซาก้าเจสุสโอเคเจสุสได้อยู่มาร์ตินโอดิการ์ดอยู่ที่ใครฮาวเวิร์ดเขาซาวไงโอ้โหจริงๆโก้หยอดไม่ดี
for a throw in. Been a bit of a difficult start to this game, I think, with Declan Rice. He's had maybe a little bit overrun. You've got to remember, he is playing a holding midfielder by himself, isn't he? And Lons have a few players in there. But so far, Declan Rice obviously joined Arsenal. A lot of money, over 100 million. Do you think maybe he is having the impact on the team that are playing with that for that value? Should
ขณะที่ฝรั่งเศสนี่แม่งก็เดี๋ยวดีเหมือนกันนะเพื่อนๆฝากด้วยครับเพื่อนๆเข้ามาแล้วฝากกดไลค์กดแชร์กดติดตามให้หน่อยแล้วก็ใครจะซัพพอร์ตนะครับ QR Code ที่เห็นอยู่ทางหน้าจอแล้วก็หรือว่าง่ายๆก็แคปหน้าจอแล้วก็ไปสแกน QR Code นะบริจาคมาโดยตรงกับผมได้เลยนะครับ
The Arsenal play with the most activity in this game so far, but he's got to get back now. I think he has, because Lons coming forward with the ball towards the box.
It's well caught in the end. It was way too close to David Raya, but again, that was a threat. It was on the right side with Frankowski, and he's whipped in a couple of good balls so far. On that occasion, though, it was always too close to the goalkeeper, really, and David Raya, who has, of course, came in and now effectively taken Aaron Ramsdale's place.
โอ้โหดูดิเพื่อนๆดูลองดิแม่งเล่นบี้ชิบหายเลย
the last four games, so since he's come in, so maybe David Raya has cemented that number one spot for now. Here's Tomiyasu. Tomiyasu can find Saka on the right. Been a quiet game for the number 7 so far. And here is Declan Rice, the man we mentioned a moment ago. Good ball out to Trossard on the left. First we've already seen the Belgian so far, and he was eventually going to cross one in. Instead he goes back to Zinchenko, who finds William Saliba, back playing against French opposition, of course. And here is Havertz, who goes back to Zinchenko. Zinchenko looking for his options. He goes to the right to Tomiyasu. A chance for him to maybe cross Saka. Saka. Can he get one in? He goes back to Rice. Arsenal looking for their first real attack of the game. Saka gets it back again. Tomiyasu. Tomiyasu finds Rice.
โอเคตั้งเกมใหม่ครับตอนนี้อยู่ที่ซาลิบา
The first real spell of possession they've had for a while, the Gunners.
ไฮฮาวเวิร์ดจินชิงโก้จินชิงโก้จะไปยังไงสวยโทมิเอาโอโยซาก้านี่ครับเพื่อนๆเจาะยากมากลองนี้แม่งไอ้นี่เลยอะแพ็กเกมไว้ดีเลยอะเดคไลท์เจาะไม่เข้าอ่ะเพื่อนเอาโอริกาสวยเอาโอริกาไปไม่ได้อยู่ที่ใครฮาวเวิร์ดอยู่ที่ท็อตฟ้าโอ้โหเดคไลท์เอาจิงโก้ใครฮาวเวิร์ด สวยโอมิครับนี่ครับเจาะยากมากชิงโก้เนี่ยผมชอบเสื้ออาร์เซนอลสีนี้มากเลยเพื่อนๆเดี๋ยวผมหาซื้ออยู่แต่ตอนนี้ไม่มีตังค์มีโอกาสได้ยิงเลยอ่ะเพื่อนๆสวยแคไลท์เอาครับแคไลท์ดักได้แคไลท์คืนก่อนโทมิคืนซาลิบาซาลิบาเหมือนได้กลับบ้านเกิดนะกลับมาฝรั่งเศสชิงโก้ฮาวเวิร์ดดูฮาวเวิร์ดดูมีส่วนร่วมกับเกมเยอะนะวันนี้ได้พักบอลได้อะไรบ้างดูครับชิงโก้โอ้โหควายไม่ได้ชิบหายแล้วไงจะโดนสวนแล้ว
opposite goalkeeper David Raya thought for a moment there that ball from someone might catch the Arsenal defence out.
Well, he's tried a few of those passes already to the wide areas. This time it was almost a ball right through the centre of the field. Didn't pay off in the end. Likewise, that Declan Rice pass that goes through.
ฝรั่งเศสนี่คนชื่อนี่เยอะนะเพื่อนๆเมนดี้หลายคนมากเลยมาดริดก็มีอดีตนักเตะแมนซิตี้ก็มีผู้แมนยูก็ยัง0-0นะครับผู้มาดริดก็ยัง0-0เหมือนเดิมเราต้องไปดูคู่อื่นว่าคู่อื่นมีประตูไหมต้องดูนะครับคู่อื่นจะมีประตูหรือเปล่าไปเราแม่งโมโหไม่ขึ้นเลยครับเพื่อนๆแม่งบุกยับเลยเนี่ยเฮ้ยตัดบอลได้เอาแล้วครับกาเบรียลเจซุสยิงเรียบร้อย1-0กาเบรียลเจซุสโอกาสยิงครั้งแรกครับกาเบรียลเจซุสนำแล้วเว้ยพลาดโอ้โห
himself as big as possible, limit the angle, so Jesus has to go right into the corner, just inside that far post. It's a cracking finish from the Brazilian, and he breaks the deadlock in 14 minutes.
โอ้เราต้องชมกาเบรียลเจซุสเลยล็อกขวาแล้วก็ยิงด้วยขวาสุดยอดความผิดพลาดเลยเพื่อน
It's got to be said, but wow, that goal's going to do them the world of good. And Jesus, a player who has been under the microscope a little bit recently, especially after that miss, of course, against Tottenham in the derby. He's been criticised already for not being an elite finisher, but he took that one like an elite finish. It was a brilliant finish from the Brazilian as Tomiyasu heads away Samba's clearance, and then Rice comes through the back of Thomason. Well, Thomason's done well to retrieve the ball and to respond. They got a good point in their first group game, the French side, and going to have to come behind here as well.
นำแล้วครับเพื่อนๆพลาด
from the number 3 and in the end Raya happily watches that land on the roof of his net. He never got his angles all wrong there, didn't he, Ricardo? He tried to cross the ball in, he got it all wrong, and Raya happily watched it go out.
Yeah, it's a poor ball, isn't it? And they're looking for an immediate response on the home side.
ได้ว่ะ
You highlighted about 5 minutes ago when Arsenal were just getting on the ball a bit more. This is how you try and take the sting out of them and the home crowd. But what better way than to break the deadlock?
ครับต้องอย่าประมาทลองนะครับเพื่อนๆลองก็ไม่ใช่ว่าไอ้นี่
Arsenal have to be careful now not to commit the same error that Lens did.
Absolutely, yes. Arsenal have taken the lead and their last win away in the Champions League was at Basel back in 2016. Wahi plays one in, wins a corner off Gabriel. We're not seeing much of Wahi in the game so far. The Lens forward, but in the end he wins a corner off Gabriel. They've taken it quickly as well. Arsenal have got to switch on here. The ball's going to be whipped in. It's a deflection, and Raya comes and gets it, and he's kept it alive. He hasn't prevented another corner. I think the cross took a bit of a deflection, made it a bit awkward for David Raya, who's backpedaling slightly. In the end, he keeps it alive right in front of the line, really, to prevent another corner. Most have had a couple of corners in the game.
เตะมุมอีกแล้วลอง
It's fair to say. So that one, though, taken quickly. Arsenal dealt with it pretty comfortably in the end. Manchester United have taken the lead at home to Galatasaray. Rasmus Haaland with his second Champions League goal, a second goal for the club, and they both come in Europe's elite competition. As Declan Rice has the ball now, he finds Zinchenko, of course, is a left back, but often does play more of a centre midfield inverted role. Of course, did that often at Man City, and that's what he's been doing at Arsenal.
เราค่อยๆสร้างเกมขึ้นไปเรื่อยๆสร้างเกมไปเรื่อย
Tomiyasu plays one forward. Not a great ball from the Japanese, though. He gets a second bite at the cherry and finds Gabriel Jesus.
อ้าวเพื่อนๆแมนยูนะครับขึ้นนำแล้วโดยฮอยลุนไข่ใหญ่ครับเพื่อนๆเอ้ยแมนยูนำแล้วเว้ยโดยฮอยลุนเว้ย
in that number 9 role as Mercado does well, but then gives it away poorly, and Ødegaard now has it. Quiet game for him so far, the number 8. Ødegaard in the end slows it down and goes back to Saliba. Thought I might have learned my lesson saying quiet game so far. Said it about Bukayo Saka before getting an assist shortly after, but Arsenal happily keeping possession for the time being. Zinchenko goes out to the left to Kai Havertz. And Havertz, the German, checks back and goes to Zinchenko. Arsenal 1-0.
อ้าวไปอีกแล้ว
Gabriel Jesus getting on the score sheet after 14 minutes.
เฮ้ยแมนยูครับขึ้นนำแล้วโดยฮอยลุนโอ้โหมงเข้าแบบเต็มหัวเลยอะแอดฟอร์ดเปิดโอ้โหแต่สุดยอดนะ
Goes back to Rice, and Rice finds Zinchenko off. Really is playing as a centre mid at times in this game. He finds Ødegaard. No, he doesn't. Really well stepped in actually. And this could be an opportunity. Danso goes out to his left. Wasn't the best ball to Thomason in truth. Danso has it again. In unfamiliar territory, the centre-back right now is going to go out to the left wing and cross one in. It's not a bad delivery, though. And Trossard has to come back and get there, and he clears. Not the best clearance in the world. It's hit more up in the air. Declan Rice goes to clear, and eventually Arsenal do get it clear. But a little bit messy that from Arsenal, because I think down to the centre-back, they let him go a long way.
ครับอเล็กซานเดอร์ชินเชนโกโอ้โหไม่ถึงโอเดการ์ด
He's got to put it anywhere else apart from across the face of his goal. It has gone in the air, but he's essentially sent it to the area of the penalty box, where, as you mentioned, Marouane Damso continued to apply a threat. He went up with Rice, and Arsenal got away with it. But it was a decent ball in. Yeah, the centre back has gained some yards there across the field, and there just wasn't a runner in the box.
โอเคได้บอลอยู่
The previous corner as well, where the cross wasn't bang on the money. But that's where their threat has come in the wide areas for Lens, in whether it's set pieces or in open play. You've mentioned why he hasn't really got in the game. He's not got the frame of a lone striker, really, has he? Not too much.
จอมาที่เดคไลท์เว้ย
A bit more technical, but that's where the crosses don't really work out for Lens.
Lovely layoff from Jesus to Saka, and Saka now finds Trossard on the left, and he finds Havertz. Havertz plays one through. It's a good ball to Saka. Saka gets there, back heels it, and that does find Trossard with a little bit of luck and a deflection. Finds Zinchenko on the edge of the area, goes back to Rice. Arsenal with patient play again. Lens are back in a good shape for now.
ดูดิครับลองนี่ก็มาเพสสูงนะวันนี้ทำให้อาร์เซนอลเปิดขึ้นเกมยากมากอ่ะเอาแล้วครับซาก้าออกซ้ายไปที่ทอซาไอฮาวเวตเอาครับแทงโอเคทอซาจินชิงโก้It's a good ball to him as well. Bit of a unique save from Samba, wasn't it? He kind of got a fist to it more than anything. It was quite low down, but either way, he kept it out. คืนเลยครับคืนซาลิบาเลยเพื่อนๆนะครับนาโปลีนะครับนำมัดริดแล้ว 1-0 โอ้โห
It was just such a congested final third then when Arsenal were coming forward. It was only Arsenal's two centre-backs in Saliba and Gabriel that weren't in the final third.
โอ้โหฮาวเวร์ดยิงติดเซฟโอ้โหบอลเล่สวยจัด
There was serious congestion there as they tried to get the second, and it was a good ball from Ødegaard, wasn't it? Well intended, good through ball towards Havertz, and it was a decent volley. But as you say, I think Samba he stood his ground. He stooped down and got a strong wrist on it.
It's a fantastic ball from Zinchenko, though, isn't it? I mean, the way he picks him out, and it's a good volley from Havertz. Not the most convincing strike from the German, but it's something. It's on target. It's going in, and Samba with a
unique save. นาโปลีนะครับนำมัดริดแล้ว 1-0คู่ที่มีประตูนะเป็นนาโปลีนำมาดริด 1-0 แมนยูนำกาลาตาซาย 1-0 แล้วก็ลองนะครับตามอาร์เซนอล 0-1
Thomason was also going in, as Frankowski was going in with him, and it deflected off Frankowski, and Gabriel does win his side of throw in. 21 minutes played in France. Lens 0.
เขาแบบบอลเล่สวยครับลูกนี้
His third goal of the season, his second in the Champions League as well for the Brazilian. Of course, his former side winning the treble last season, the current holders of the Champions League, Manchester City. As Arsenal Trossard finds Tomiyasu, can go back to William Saliba. Again, these two sides did meet in the UEFA Cup semi-final back in the year 2000. Arsenal came out on top in that tie for losing the eventual final to Galatasaray on penalties. But Arsenal have met French opposition on 26 occasions. They've only lost 3 times in their history, so they've got a very good record against French opposition, the Gunners. 14 wins, 9 draws, 3 defeats. Good play from Zinchenko to find Ødegaard. Ødegaard can bring it forward. Finds Jesus. Oh no, he doesn't in the end. He's muscled off it well by Medina. Good defending by Medina. Actually came across, saw the danger, and got there ahead of Jesus, who did go down, but the referee wasn't at all interested in giving a free kick. Galatasaray equalised at Old Trafford. Hammer blow that for Manchester United. None other than Wilfried Zaha getting the goal in that game. Of course, the former Manchester United player linked with them so many times over the last few years as well. Zaha finally left Crystal Palace to move to Turkey, and he's got the goal. And Mercado has scored 2 goals this season.
โอ้โหไม่ได้
About to throw Mikel Arteta looking a lot better than when we last.
อ้าวเพื่อนๆแมนยูโดนตีเสมอแล้วครับเพื่อนๆกาลาตาสลายวิลฟิกซาฮาเหรอ
Pretty non-existent, however, they've got the goal away from home. Any away from home victory in the Champions League is certainly not easy.
โอ้เพื่อนๆซาฮาเด็กเก่าแมนยูมายิงแมนยูอ่ะ
Ball though down the line to Frankowski, really good ball actually. He can maybe cross one in on the overlap.
โอ้โห
Cross comes in this time.
แต่เหลือเกินวิลฟิกซาฮา
Thomason looking to make amends for his earlier.
ตัวนี้ตัวทีเด็ดอยู่แล้วไม่ต้องห่วงหรอก
Get that one in. It's good delivery from Frankowski, wasn't it? Thomason on the volley gets there ahead of Gabriel. Brave from Gabriel to dive in the way.
โอ้โหแข็งจัด
And in the end, the volley round the corner, never really troubling Breyer. But again, that cross on the right-hand side, always a threat.
It is, and it's those two again. It's Frankowski into Thomason, the cross, and then the first time effort. The first.
โอ้โหยิงฉลับกาโล
And the connection wasn't entirely there, just like the header about 10 or so minutes ago. But they're threatening in the wide areas as Havertz tries to.
วอลเล่โอ้โหยิงข้ามคานนี่อย่านึกว่าโดนแล้ว
It's Jesus into Ødegaard. Martin Ødegaard plays. Oh, he went through to Saka. It's good defending in the end from Danso. It was a weak pass though from the Norwegian, especially by his standards. Chance to slide Saka in, didn't take it, and in the end it's cleared away. What an opportunity. Here's Declan Rice though. We'll hand over to Ben in a moment, but Tomiyasu on the ball now finds Saka back to Jesus, who's dropped quite deep for now. Declan Rice, who really is starting to settle in this game in possession. Rice finds Ødegaard. Back to Rice again.
เฮ้ยสวยเอากาเบรียลเจซุสไปโอเดการ์ดโอ้โหไม่ถึงซาก้าคืนก่อนเนเคนไลท์โทมิ
He's got an equaliser, and what a fantastic goal it is. Well, he's already had 2 or 3 shots in the game already.
เนี่ยเพื่อนๆก็ค่อยๆต่อขึ้นไป
But this one has finally worked in the end. Lens committed a mistake when Arsenal broke the deadlock. This time it's Arsenal in the form of David Raya to cause an error, and Lens punished them. A great chest down and pass from Eliawahi, and Thomason gets the equaliser.
What a finish that is. You've got to have said Arsenal, the architects of their own downfall, just like Lens for the first goal. Arsenal shooting themselves in the foot. It's a poor mistake.
เรียบร้อยครับเพื่อนๆอาร์เซนอลโดนตีเสมอ
Trying to redeem himself for the earlier error. He's just done that this time. It's a brilliant finish, and Mikel Arteta will be so disappointed. Arsenal took the lead, and they've been in control for the last 10 minutes since taking the lead. It's David Raya who plays it away. It's David Raya with a poor ball, and it's well picked up, though, it's got to be said. He takes it down well, Wahi. Really good layoff. What a finish that is, but David Raya, that is so disappointing from him.
โดนตีเสมอเลยครับเพื่อน
It's poor distribution. Arsenal eventually punished, but you got to credit Lens for the way they worked the goal.
ๆโอ้โหจ่ายไม่ดี
Forwards play from Wahi to lay it off to Thomason, and a brilliant finish from him. And
โอ้โหยิงสวยจัด
not one David Raya will want to look back on. It's his opposite goalkeeper Bryce Samba has a bit of a celebration at the other end.
Well, it's another chapter already in the dilemma for Mikel Arteta, isn't it, of the 2 keepers. David Raya, he's a good 25 yards from his own goal when he gives that ball away. I think that
โดนแล้วไอ้ห่า
behind him, he's that far advanced up the field. He does get back to his line in time.
ฮัลโหล
Punish them regardless. Now Arsenal going to try and get immediate response. Stooping it into the box. It comes out to Declan Rice. A bit of a combination of a pass and a strike in the end. I think he's caught between 2 minds, and Lens can get it away. Incidentally, this is as it stands with Lens 1, Arsenal 1. This is an identical scoreline to when they met in the 1998-99 campaign in the Champions League. Could you believe that was Arsenal's first ever UEFA Champions League match over 25 years ago? 1-1 in France, and incidentally, Lens did win the other leg of, or I should say, other game of the group stage at Highbury. Lens are unbeaten, therefore, in the Champions League against the Gunners, but as you quite rightly said, Samuel, they did fall to defeat in the season in the UEFA Cup. It's now with Zinchenko in a deep position alongside Declan Rice. He gives it to Tomiyasu, now to Bukayo Saka, hugging the touchline as you would suspect. He gives it back to the Japanese, and he has to go in the end further back to William Saliba. As you suspect, Arsenal have had the lion's share of possession.
เต็งเลยครับเพื่อน
of it, 64% compared to Lence's 36, as Raya is once again well out of his goal, but it's a much better ball this time towards Havertz. Has he tripped over Frankowski? I think he has, but the referee, will he play on? I think he will, as Brice Samba rolls it out quickly. Real Madrid looks to have gotten an equaliser in Naples already, thanks to, well, who else? Vinicius Junior, assisted by Jude Bellingham. 8 minutes after Leo Ostigard
พลาดครั้งเดียวอ่ะเพื่อนๆโดนเลย
as you quite rightly mentioned, Galatasaray have equalised as well, and here to Lens 1, Arsenal 1, so a few 1-1s in this evening's matches so far. As there's another long-range effort this time, I think it's from Frank Sotoka.
ขออนุญาตนะครับเพื่อนๆเดี๋ยวมาแป๊บนึงไปดูลูกก่อนลูกตื่น
About 8 yards or so out. He tried to lob him, didn't he? But it was going to take something special from the number 7 to beat Raya.
It was very comfortable for Raya, but he was concerningly off his line there, Raya. Again, I don't want to criticise David Raya. I think he's done a very good job since coming in at Arsenal, but you just feel like a moment like that where he did give the ball away, pretty much led to the Lens goal. I feel like you know, that obviously might maybe knock the confidence a little bit of Raya. Raya's a very good goalkeeper, there's no doubt about that, but he was just off his line a little bit there, and the shot option was there, wasn't it, from Sitkowa, and it's not a bad effort, it was never troubling Raya, it was straight at him, it was an easy catch for him, but on another day, a better strike might have beaten him, and obviously Raya's at the point now where he's conceded the goal, made the error. I'm sure, obviously, you know, he will respond well to it, but a little bit of concern, and Lens might sense that as well.
Yeah, the flags from the Songador fans have not stopped waving throughout the game. I'm sure they'll be even more motivated now getting that equaliser. Arsenal with possession once more, however, on the halfway line with Zinchenko. Has to go back to Gabriel, now to Saliba. Declan Rice having to drop deep as well, as the fans are bouncing up and down in France. Zinchenko tries a ball out wide towards Leandro Trossard. He's under pressure from Frankowski. Frankowski gets a good tackle in, but he can't keep the ball. You just sense there, if he did win possession back for the host, there was another counter-attack on. It's certainly what they're trying to operate with, as Elia Wahi now tries to press on to Saliba. So they'll go back once more, Arsenal. They're just creeping a bit further back every time they make a pass, and that's another cheap giveaway, this time from Trossard, and it's picked up once again by Frankowski. Ball over the top towards Wahi. Good interception though from Declan Rice. He needed to be there. We've highlighted that he does, of course, drop a bit more deeper for Mikel Arteta compared to how he did for David Moyes, and he needed to because Wahi was ready to pounce.
He did, yeah, it was good defending by Rice. He actually read the danger straight away, and like all top players do in that position, he got back and made a good header, but Leandro Trossard with a really poor touch in the middle of the park, nearly give it away, and now there's trouble here as well for Lens in the end, though he's done quite well in the end. I believe it might have been Danston who did really well, or Danso, sorry, who did really well, and eventually the Brice Samba got it away, and there's a foul committed by Havertz. All going on at the moment, really. The game's kind of turned a little bit chaotic, hasn't it, in recent times, and again, both teams making little errors that are obviously causing problems for their own defences, but it's got to be said though that on that occasion, yeah, Havertz leaving a bit in there on Granit. He just kind of went a bit strong on him, and the German concedes the foul, but yeah, Declan Rice, great interception a moment ago, but the game's a little bit chaotic now, maybe he had no right to after Arsenal took the lead.
Chaotic, as you're saying, it was a fair old tussle between Danso and Jesus. Another ball over the top from Lens. They'll win the second ball though with Machado. There's an offside though against Elia Wahi. Incidentally, Kevin Danso, whilst he applied to trade for Austria, he did begin his youth career in England. It was with Reading and then Milton Keynes Dons before making his way to Germany and ultimately to France for Lens by way of a loan spell at Southampton at the same time. Half an hour gone now. Independent off-tube studio commentary. Last one, Arsenal 1. The Gunners taking the lead just shy of a quarter of an hour from Gabriel Jesus before Adrian Thomason got an equaliser in the 24th minute. And since then, Arsenal have had the better spell of possession, but haven't been able to find an immediate response. David Raya is now under pressure. Another it's an awkward pass from him, but Declan Rice
แต่คู่นาโปลีเหมือนกันนะครับนาโปลีมาดริดก็ตีเสมอแล้วมีแค่มี3คู่นะโคปาเนเกนกับบาเยิร์นยัง 0-0 PSV กับเซบีย่า 0-0 อินเตอร์มิลานกับเบนฟิก้าก็ 0-0 เหมือนกันตอนนั้นมีประตูครับ 1-1 ทุกคู่ไปสู้ๆเว้ยเซนอน
puts a hand up in apology, I think, to the far side where Satoko wanted the
โอ้โห
ball.
เอ้ย
There were gaps there for Arsenal to be punished by from Lens.
Absolutely were. I think that both teams wasting an opportunity there. The real chance was Tomiyasu, though. He's got to put a better ball in. He's played in by Saka on the overlap. Tomiyasu, the ball has to be of so much more quality. It's a really poor ball, and Lens managed to clear it away really well, to be honest. But then Lens have a chance to counter-attack, and they don't take it either. But they could be in here, actually. But in the end, Saliba and Gabriel between them do really well. And again, this game is really open right now. And to be fair to Lens, they've, they're their own team, but they're playing well at the moment, in my opinion, and they're really up for this. And Saka's gone down here. This is a concern for Arsenal because there were questions about his fitness going into this game. And if you're Mikel Arteta, do you want to take the risk?
Well, exactly. it's those kind of situations where it's not due to a challenge. Bukayo Saka was the one to race back from that Lens counter. I wonder if he pulled something as he tried to
เฮ้ยเหี้ย ซาก้าเจ็บเหรอ เพื่อน
physio now with his left knee raised. The referee looks over. Maybe is he signaling the end of the evening for Saka?
เฮ้ยบูโยซาก้าเจ็บ
You've said it yourself. The element and the risk was
เอา
there.
ทำไงอะทีเนี้ย
He's already raised his hands. You know he's appealing for a handball.
มีฟาเบโอเวล่านะลิดเนลสันเอ็นเคเทีย
That's earlier, in fact, isn't it, when Thomason got the equaliser? But Saka,
โอ้บูโยซาก้าเจ็บแล้วงานเข้าเลยล่ะเจอแมนซิตี้ด้วย
trying to get back in defence, and you highlighted the risk for him. And it's one of those, as I've said, it's not due to a challenge. He's done this off his own accord, and they're often the more concerning ones. And really, in that case, I would suspect Arteta would have to make a substitution.
I think so. At the end of the day, Arsenal have got a huge game on Sunday against Man City. Yes, this game is massive away at Lens. And Fabio Vieira is going to come onto the field. The main reason it's concerning, a lot of question marks have been raised over Saka's fitness. I think people are saying Arteta has been a bit guilty of overplaying him. I mean, Saka is one of Arsenal's, if not Arsenal's best player, so you can't blame him for playing the game. But I think sometimes he needs a bit of a rest. He didn't play in the Carabao Cup game against Brentford, but he's played every other game, and his evening's over after just 33.5 minutes. But the bigger concern for Arsenal is in the long run. Obviously, they've got to make sure
สวัสดีครับพี่นัตตี้ โอ้เต็งเลยครับเพื่อนๆบูโยซาก้าเจ็บเป็นฟาเบโอเวล่านะครับตรงแทนแต่อย่าเจ็บนานแล้วกัน โอ้ย
Yeah, 2 assists already in 5 Premier League matches for the Portuguese midfielder.
แมนยูครับเสมอนะพี่นัตตี้แมนยูพี่อ่ะวันนี้คอยลุ้นใครใหญ่ยิงได้ด้วยนะ
And plays it to his centre-back partner in Gabriel. It looks like Real Madrid have turned it around in Naples. They've gone 2-1 to the good. Jude Bellingham assisted the first. He's now scored the second in the 34th minute. So that's Napoli 1, Real Madrid 2. I believe that all of the other results remain the same from the last time we did update you, as now Lens can get some possession, as Arsenal have had the better part of it since Thomason got the equaliser. A good ball around the corner towards Abdul Samid. Now to Nampali Mendy, ex-Leicester City midfielder.
ลองเล่นดีนะเพื่อนๆวันนี้โอ้โหดูวิ่งดูอะไรกันชิบหายเลย ตอนนี้เสมอกันเหมือนกันเลยพี่โอ้อย่าแพ้เลยโอ้จูเบลลิงแฮมแม่งยิงอีกแล้วว่ะเพื่อนๆมาดริดอ่ะมาดริดนำ 2-1 นะครับจูเบลลิงแฮมยิงอีกแล้วอ่ะ
And Declan Rice, he's got Zinchenko and Trossard on the far side. Great reverse ball from Zinchenko. It's come to Leandro Trossard. Heavy touch again, though. It was a heavy touch that allowed Lens to try and apply some pressure about 5 or so minutes ago. And this time it's a heavy touch that, it gives a chance for the Lens defender. I think it's the number 24 to get a tackle in. I think it's gone out for a Arsenal corner. Yeah, the last touch was off the defender.
เอาทอซาโอ้โหทอซาแต่บอลยาว
Not for the first time in this game. Zinchenko's played a couple of really good passes in behind that have opened up that Lens defence. That's another one. Really sloppy touch from Trossard. Good defending. You can see the corner, but that's a little bit more of a threat from Arsenal, and the Belgian will be very disappointed with his efforts in the end. One arm raised by the Norwegian Martin Odegaard. Plenty of men in the box as well. It'll go towards Gabriel. It doesn't reach him. There was an interception in there, but Arsenal will try to keep the press alive with Fabio Vieira. His first few touches since coming on for the injured Bukayo Saka. Gives it to Zinchenko. Chance for him to shoot. Too many bodies in the way. Tries to
เอาหน่อย
Gabriel, isn't it? On the far side, the defender stayed up. It was a well-intended pass.
โอเดการ์ดโอ้โหเอาก็ยังได้อยู่
Yeah, it was
Vieira.
not ready to say poor, but I think it was just a bit too much, really, wasn't it, from Zinchenko? I mean, he's played some really good balls in behind so far. Zinchenko, the Ukrainians having a fine game, really.
โอ้โห
been absolutely fantastic.
ไม่ทัน
On that occasion, though, the ball was a little bit too much in behind, and it goes out for a goal kick. But that was a chance for Arsenal. You just feel like the longer it stays 1-1, Arsenal have now lost Bukayo Saka, such an important player for them.
ก็บอกแล้วไฮรุนยิงได้ก็ผมบอกแล้ว
I'd say they have been the team on top
ไฮรุนใครใหญ่ยิงได้ด้วยลูกแรกอ่ะ
They've still kind of been
ยิงประตูขึ้นนำอ่ะ
since, but Arsenal don't want to make this game a lot more difficult than maybe it has right to be, and PSV have had a goal ruled out in Holland against Sevilla in this group as well.
Well, there you go. So that remains goalless. The group is still finally poised. We're only 2 games in, well, 1.5 technically, of the 6 that we will see. But with Arsenal as it stands on 4, Lens on 2, Sevilla 2 as well. Of course, Lens and Sevilla drew 1-1 in Andalusia in the previous match day. PSV lost 4-0 to Arsenal. But anything can happen in this group. Likewise with every other, I say it's still the early stages, but it's a group that outside of Arsenal.
เซ็งเลยอ่ะเพื่อนๆพี่ๆบูโยซาก้าเจ็บอ่ะ
Second position. This is only Lens' 3rd campaign in Champions League football. They've never got out of the group stage beforehand.
กันน่าเจอแมนซิตี้ด้วยอ่ะมึงรู้เนี่ย
1-1 draw as it stands against Arsenal. They've got every reason to believe they could pull off an upset as Zinchenko finds Trossard once again on some good space on the far side. Frankowski is there for cover.
ดูเลยครับลองแม่งบี้แบบสุดๆเลยอ่ะถามเพื่อนด้วยนะครับใครไม่กดติดตามฝากกดติดตามให้หน่อยแล้วก็นิดนึงจะถึง 1,400 ซับแล้วฝากไปพี่เพื่อนๆด้วยช่วยหน่อยแล้วก็ใครจะซัพพอร์ตนะครับมีได้หลายช่องทางนะเป็นบริจาคมาโดยตรงทางบัญชีที่ขึ้นอยู่ทางหน้าจอหรือไม่ก็สแกนแล้วก็มีหลายทางก็เป็นฟิวเจอร์ซูเปอร์แตงซูเปอร์แชทนะครับก็ฝากเพื่อนๆนะครับได้เลยสนับสนุนเป็นท่อน้ำเลี้ยงของพวกผมนะนี่ดูหง่อยๆไงไม่รู้อ่ะเซนอนผมเจอแรงแม่งไอ้นี่ยับเลยอ่ะ
Have Arsenal still unbeaten home and away this season. You can't say the same for Lens. They had a dreadful start to their French domestic campaign before winning their last 2 matches and, as I mentioned, a decent draw in Seville. 1 goal apiece.
Zinchenko
with Gabriel on the halfway line. Still great possession for Arsenal, but Lens doing well to keep their shape tight, and there you go. I think that's great defending actually in the end, Samuel. I'm not as well for shepherding Gabriel Jesus out, but it's a poor ball in the end from Arsenal.
เซนอนก็ค่อยต่อไปเรื่อยๆเว้ยลองแม่งแรงเยอะชิบหายบี้ชิบหายเลยโอ้โหดูโทมิดิครับวันนี้ไม่ได้เลยอ่ะโทมิวันนี้อะไรก็ไม่รู้เปิดบอลก็ไม่แม่น
I do think Arsenal still are getting a bit of space at times, though. Maybe I think they have had a bit of joy, but obviously, if you're Lens, you are the home team in the game, and you can't say they're just sitting back and happy with this because they're going forward when they got chances as well. And it's been a very
เพิ่งชนะแมนซิตี้ได้
I'd say it's been quite an even game in total, but Arsenal have had
โดยต้องเจอแมนซิตี้ครับวันสัปดาห์นี้สำหรับพรีเมียร์เซนอนแมนซิตี้ก็เพิ่งแพ้วูฟมาแต่พรุ่งนี้แมนซิตี้ก็เตะมาแล้ว
They've won a free kick off Tomiyasu, and Tomiyasu again, the right back, a poor ball a moment ago, which went to waste, and now giving away a free kick just inside the Lens half.
You see Francaise and indeed Mikel Arteta as well, the 2 managers in their respective technical areas, as there's only 5 minutes before the half-time interval.
วันนี้โทมิดูเล่นไม่ผ่านหรอเพื่อน
ๆin the changing rooms as that free kick. Well, I thought it had gone for a throw-in for Lens as they gained a few yards, but there was another offside, I think, against the goal scorer Adrian Thomason on this occasion. Maybe Tomiyasu to take the free kick. As I mentioned, the struggles of Lens earlier this season. Prior to their 1-1 draw against Sevilla, they hadn't earned a single point until that moment, but they have turned their fortunes around both domestically and so far as it seems continentally. At home in the Champions League at the Stade Bollard de Lille, they've only lost 1 of their 6 matches, winning 3 and drawing 2 of those. Of course, they're from the 2 previous campaigns that they were in this continental competition. The free kick is sent long by Tomiyasu, a cheap foul given away in the end by Arsenal on Danso, and he remains down, just trying to tick the seconds by.
ให้ดูวันนี้เซนอนมันดูเล่นไม่ออกเลยเจอลองที
But you see it so often nowadays, don't you, Samuel, that even the slightest brush on the face of a player is going to go down, and more often than not, the referee will award a free kick.
Yeah, I think we saw it there. Havertz actually having his shirt pulled a little bit, but I do think there's a bit of a reaction maybe from the German, and he has committed 1 or 2 fouls in the game so far, Havertz. But yeah, in the end, it was
เกมมันโคตรช้าพูดตามตรงเลยเพื่อนๆอาร์เซนอลเนี่ยเกมดูไม่ประติดประต่ออะไรเลยดูดิครับกองเชียร์เราแม่งสุดยอดอะ
back here as well, and Arsenal have got to be careful here, but in the end they've won the ball back, the Gunners. But obviously, yeah, this game is looking us could be opening up now. Actually, just as I'm about to say, the game's looking rather even. It's opening up again.
Yeah, there's mistakes from both teams, isn't there? And then all of a sudden, there's space in the midfield for both teams to try and pounce. Lens couldn't do that. Can Arsenal do it on this occasion? It's with Trossard.
เนี่ยเพื่อน
Alexander Zinchenko. Lens doing well to get every.
พอได้บอลดูอาร์เซนอลดูเสียบอลเยอะมากอะกองกลางอะชินทิงโก้ไปแล้วไป
Saliba just dropping into his own half again as Arsenal just take it back
หนูกลัวแอดต้องพูดคนเดียวใช่ผมพูดคนเดียวไม่เป็นไรครับผมก็พูดคนเดียวประจำแหละเลยต้องมาขอบคุณมากครับ
in this half as you would suspect Lens doing well once more though
ไม่ได้ซีเรียสอยู่แล้วครับผมอะ
The Gunners back. Gabriel finds a bit of space for Havertz, so often in a free roll, and that is the case as well this evening as he finds some space on the left-hand side. Now towards Gabriel Jesus, a real fluid formation at the moment for Arsenal. Jesus, the goal scorer, dropping out wide with Trossard playing more centrally. He now receives the ball, finds Odegaard. Now he'll switch it towards Jesus. Not enough length on that pass. Trossard will try and win it back. Has he committed a foul? I think he has. Slowly putting the whistle to his mouth, and another Arsenal goes begging at the very least. But we've highlighted it a lot. I mean, Arsenal are getting frustrated now.
ดูเจาะไม่เข้าเลย43นาทีแล้วนะครับเพื่อนๆพอซาโหได้การ์ด
collision between Trossard and Satoka there, not least with the boots. There may have been a shoulder to shoulder, but the referee gives the free kick. However, yeah, getting into good areas. Arsenal. You've just seen Jesus out wide and Trossard dropping deep. They're really switching it up because there's very little space.
Absolutely agree. Yeah, I think obviously Jesus we saw drift out to the left a moment ago. Trossard go more centrally. It's not been Trossard's night so far though. He's given the ball away a lot, taken a lot of loose touches. You've got to question Trossard's fitness. Obviously, he has been injured a little bit recently, hasn't he? And I think he's coming back into a game.
ต้องแก้กันเยอะเลยอาร์เซนอลน่ะเพื่อนๆพี่พูดตามตรงเลย
Arsenal are getting frustrated by giving away these little free kicks, to be honest, and it is a bit frustrating, you know. Obviously, if you are Mikel Arteta, we saw him in our pictures a moment ago, scratching his chin, maybe having a little bit of a think of what his half-time team talk's going to be, because Arsenal are level in the game. They've given away a lead. They've lost Bukayo Saka due to injury. There are a couple of problems in this game for Arsenal, so it's down to them really to solve these problems and sort it out. But Saliba does
เก่งนะแอดทำสรุปอะไรเลย
They've got to try and make the most of their openings when they have them.
It did, yeah, because Lens doubled up with Wahi and Thomason trying to press, but Arsenal build it up from the back, and it's now in the final third of Lens, the 1-2 between Gabriel Jesus and Fabio.
ไม่มีเวลาเลยครับพี่ผมก็อยากทำแต่ผมไม่มีเวลาผมเปิดร้านอาหารไงผมไปออกจากบ้านก็10 โมงกว่าจะได้นอนบางทีตี4ใช่ไหมครับตี4กว่าแล้วก็ไปขายของเปิดร้านอาหารนะไปดูลูกน้องบางทีก็ทำเองด้วยคนชอบทำกับข้าวไม่รู้จะเรียนปริญญาทำไมสุดท้ายมาทำร้านอาหารตอนเด็กแม่ก็เปิดร้านอาหารอยู่แล้วนะคือแบบตอนเด็กไม่เคยสนใจจะคิดจะช่วยแม่เลยพอโตขึ้นมาแล้วรู้สึกอยากทำร้านอาหารร้านอาหารเล็กๆครับพอจะกลับบ้านก็ถึงบ้านก็3 ทุ่มแล้วครับพี่พอถึงบ้าน3 ทุ่มกว่าจะอาบน้ำทำอะไรเสร็จก็4 ทุ่มแล้วก็ต้องช่วยภรรยาเลี้ยงลูกก็หมดเวลาแล้ววันหนึ่งไม่มีเวลาเลยพอไปอยู่ที่ร้านก็ไม่มีคอมพิวเตอร์ตั้งทำเลยโน้ตบุ๊กผมมันก็เก่าแล้วมันทำไม่ได้อยากทำครับเพื่อน
and defend nearly everyone on the 18-yard line as it's going to be taken short by Trossard towards Odegaard. Trossard continues to make himself available, but Odegaard will get the ball in. It's missed by Declan Rice. A shot comes in from Gabriel Jesus. Rice
ไปเว้ยเซนอน
flick it goal bound. The clearance came.
เวลา2 นาทีเว้ยเพื่อนคู่แมนยูเขาเวลา3 นาทีนะ เสมอกันอยู่มีนำนะคู่เดียวนี่นอกนั้นเสมอทุกคู่มีนำคู่เดียวก็น่าจะเป็นคู่มาดริดนำคู่เดียวนอกนั้นเสมอหมดเลย6 คู่โอ้โหยิงข้ามคานอีก
difficult one to execute, always going over the bar, and Lons will happily watch that fly over the crossbar, and they're 30 seconds away from taking it 1-1 into half-time, and I think Lons will absolutely take that, especially the fact they're 1-0 down in this game.
I think you're right. I mean, Arsenal came into it when the group was drawn. There's really on paper the favourites, and they'd certainly be happy to get in at half-time a goal apiece. There are still a few seconds though. A last chance for Arsenal to come forward. Good interception from Medina as Vieira was waiting to pounce. I think the referee has he put his whistle to his mouth. He has, but he continues
รู้ได้
to
ไง
wait
อะครับ
another second as
อ๋อ
Lons
ใส่เห็นใน
nearly
คลิป
broke
ที่
the
แฟน
midfield
ผมมัน
of
ถ่ายใช่ไหม
Arsenal. But the whistle is blown for half-time regardless. Arsenal did take the lead thanks to Gabriel Jesus after a relatively positive start from the host. They got an equaliser in the end thanks to Adrian Thomason about 10 or so minutes later. It does mean that the second 45 is rather evenly poised. An intriguing second half of this Champions League group stage tie awaits as Lens 1.
เรียบร้อยครับเพื่อนๆจบครึ่งแรกเซ็งเลยครับเพื่อนๆก็อาร์เซนอลนะครับได้ประตูขึ้นนำนะนาที14แล้วก็แรงมาตีเสมอได้ในนาที25แล้วก็เสมอกัน1-1แต่เสียหายก็คือบุโกโยซาก้าเจ็บเนี่ยครับเพื่อนๆไม่รู้ว่าอาการหนักเป็นอย่างไรนะหลังอาร์เตต้าต้องกระตุ้นเยอะเลยอ่ะโอ้โหเพราะลองมาดีมากๆเลยมาแบบมาดีจริงๆอ่ะมาแบบไม่รู้จะพูดยังไงเลย
Half-time in France in the Champions League encounter between Lens and Arsenal.
ก็เนี่ยครับกลุ่ม A นะโคปาเนเกนนี่ครึ่งแรกนะครับเสมอกับบาเยิร์นนะครับ 0-0 แล้วก็แมนยูเสมอกับกาลาตาสลายครับ 1-1 ได้ประตูจากฮอยลุนนะแล้วก็โดนตีเสมอโดยวิลฟิกซาฮาครับอดีตเด็กเก่าแมนยูด้วยครับมาตีเสมอให้กาลาตาสลายได้กลุ่ม B นะครับลองนะเสมอเซนอน 1-1 แล้วก็อีกคู่หนึ่ง PSV เสมอเซบีย่า 0-0 กลุ่ม C นะครับนาโปลีนะครับตามมาดริด1-2กลุ่ม D นะครับอินเตอร์มิลานเสมอกับเบนฟิก้า 0-0 ประมาณนี้ครับเสมอเกือบทุกคู่เลยมันดูเหนื่อยกันทุกคู่เลยครับไม่มีคู่ไหนที่ยิงกันเยอะมีคู่นาโปลียิง3 ลูกครับนาโปลีกับมาดริดยิง3 ลูกแล้วอันนี้ครับคือ11ผู้เล่นตัวจริงนะเดี๋ยวเรามาดูสถิติทั้งหมดนะอาร์เซนอลครองบอลมากกว่าจริงนะแต่โอกาสยิงนะลองโอกาสยิงมากกว่านะครับเนี่ยครองบอลอาร์เซนอล69ลอง31โอกาสยิงของลองนะครับ6 ครั้งเข้ากรอบ2หลุดกรอบ2แล้วก็โดนบล็อกอีก2ส่วนอาร์เซนอลนะโอกาสยิง3เข้ากรอบ2แล้วก็ยิงหลุดกรอบไป1อัตราการผ่านบอลนะครับของอาร์เซนอล366 ครั้งผ่านบอลสำเร็จ323 ครั้งส่วนลองนะผ่านบอลไปทั้งหมด161 ครั้งผ่านบอลสำเร็จ126 ครั้งมีคนบอกฮอยลุนฟอร์มไม่ดีใช่ครับฮอยลุนไข่ใหญ่ ฮอยลุนไข่ใหญ่มงได้ฮอยลุนฟอร์มไม่ดีครับแต่กองหน้าไม่จำเป็นต้องฟอร์มดีหรอกครับเพื่อนๆไม่จำเป็นต้องเลี้ยงสวยหรือจ่ายบอลดีครับขอให้โอกาสจบสกอร์ได้ผมว่ามันโอเคแล้วอ่ะสำหรับอาร์เซนอลก็ประมาณนี้ครับเพื่อนๆเรามาดูคู่กันเรามาดูสถิติคู่แมนยูนะสนใจแฟนแมนยูหน่อยครับแฟนแมนยูช่องผมเยอะเหลือเกินแฟนแมนยูก็เนี่ยครับฮอยลุนเป็นคนยิงได้นะครับนาทีที่17แล้วก็วิลฟิกซาฮามาตีเสมอนาทีที่23โอกาสครองบอลนี้ของแมนยู53แล้วก็กาลาตาสลาย47โอกาสยิงของแมนยูนี่7 ครั้งเลยนะเพื่อนๆกาลาตาสลาย4 ครั้งแต่โอกาสการผ่านบอลนะเท่ากัน228 ครั้งกับ210 ครั้งอุ้ยแมนยูผ่านบอลผ่านบอลสำเร็จ175 ครั้งน้อยมากนะครับเพื่อนๆถ้าอัตราการผ่านบอลนี่น้อยกว่า 80% ผมว่าน้อยดูดิครับพลาดเยอะมากอ่ะผ่านบอลอ่ะแล้วโดนใบเหลืองไป2 ใบด้วยฝั่งแมนยูอ่ะใครโดนใบเหลืองวะขออนุญาตดูแป๊บนึงอ่ะ คาเซมิโร่กับนัลโลอ๋อมาดูสถิติฮอยลุนนะเอาใจพินัตตี้ก่อนเนี่ยครับยิง1 ประตูความแม่นยำในการผ่านบอล4 จาก 6 ครั้งเจ้าโอกาส1 ครั้งสัมผัสบอล17 ครั้งเลี้ยงบอลสำเร็จ3 ครับใช่ครับกองหน้าไม่จำเป็นต้องนี่ครับอายุ20เองโหเขายังพัฒนาได้เยอะกองหน้าทีมชาติเดนมาร์กเลี้ยงบอลสำเร็จ3 ครั้งหู100%เลยสุดยอดเสียบอล2 ครั้งชนะการดวล5แพ้การดวล4ชนะการดวลพื้น3 จาก 6ชนะการดวลจากอากาศ2 จาก 3เนี่ยครับเขาอายุ20เองครับฮอยลุนตัวใหญ่ดีสูงเท่าไหร่ส่วนสูง191เลยนะเพื่อนพี่เขาสูงเยอะมากอายุแค่20ยังพัฒนาได้อีกไกลครับเพื่อนๆก็สถิติประมาณนี้นะครับเพื่อนๆคงไม่มีอะไรมากหรอกที่สถิติที่เคยเจอกับแรงมาเมื่อปี59เสมอกัน1-1ต้องดูเลยครับเพื่อนๆว่าครึ่งหลังเนต้าจะแก้เกมอย่างไรก็แก้ยากตามตรงเลย
He played in Gabriel Jesus, who finished very well into the bottom corner. But just 11 minutes later, the hosts equalised when Raya's poor clearance was picked up by Lons, and eventually the finish was well executed by Thomason. Half-time score: Lons 1, Arsenal 1. Half-time in France in the Champions League encounter between Lons and Arsenal. Half-time score: Lons 1, Arsenal 1.
ว่ายังไงวันนี้เราจะเสมอกันทั้งคู่ไหมแมนยูอาร์เซนอลมันลิดโผล่ไปไกลแล้วนี่โหดจัดเพื่อนๆดูบิลลิงแฮมไม่โคตรเก่งเลยลูกที่ตีเสมอได้มันก็เฟี้ยวจัดยิงโคตรสวยเลยลูกตูตีเสมอของลองนะครับ
Half-time in France in the Champions League encounter between Lons and Arsenal. Half-time score: Lons 1, Arsenal 1.
ใครส่งบอลมาวิ่งมากกว่าวิ่งเหมือนตัวเองเป็นกองหน้าแมนยูยังต้องแก้ระบบอีกสักพักหนึ่งนะเพื่อนๆดูตอนนี้มันดูเป็นยังไงไม่รู้พูดตามตรงเลยดูไม่เข้าระบบมันดูไม่มีความเป็นทีมมากเท่าที่ควรสำหรับแมนยูผมเห็นผมไปดูในอินฟูสายแมนยูนะด่าชิบหายเลยเพื่อนๆด่านี่ชิบหายเลยด่าแม็กด่าเอริกเทนฮากชิบหายเลยแมนยูอยากเปลี่ยนอันนี้มากอยากเปลี่ยนผู้จัดการทีมไหมเห็นมีแต่คนด่าเทนฮากโทษเทนฮากโทษนู่นโทษนี่นักเตะมันได้แค่นี้มันจะเอาขนาดไหนบูโน่มันก็ไม่ได้แบกเหมือนเดิมแล้วอ่ะแม่ครับพี่บูโน่มันแบกไม่ได้อ่ะไม่รู้ว่าทีมส่งไปข้างหน้าก็ไม่รู้ว่ามีใครยิงอ่ะ
He played in Gabriel Jesus, who finished very well into the bottom corner. But just 11 minutes later, the hosts equalised when Raya's poor clearance was picked up by Lons, and eventually the finish was well executed by Thomason. Half-time score: Lons 1, Arsenal 1. Half time in France in the Champions League encounter between Lens and Arsenal. Half time score Lens 1, Arsenal 1. It was the Gunners who took the lead after 14 minutes when Thomason's ball
ปีนี้ดูดิครับลิเวอร์พูลแม่งกลับมาไวมากเจนคอมแม่งเก่งนะปีแล้วดูตุ๊บปั๊บตุ๊บเป๋นะปีนี้มาแบบเขาท่าดีนะเพื่อนพี่ปีนี้มาเขาท่าเลย แล้วพรุ่งนี้นะมีคู่อะไรบ้างเดี๋ยวดูก่อนนะพรุ่งนี้จะมีกี่คู่พรุ่งนี้เราจะไลฟ์คู่เนี่ยครับเพื่อนๆไอแมนซิตี้อยู่กับไลฟ์ซิกอะแล้วก็ดูนิวคาสเซิลแล้วก็ดูบาร์ซ่าด้วยดู3 คู่ต้องดูนะว่าช่วง5 ทุ่ม5 ทุ่มก็โอเคมีแอตติโกมาดริดอาจจะตอน5 ทุ่ม 45นะลูกหลับแล้วอะไรแล้วนะอาจจะมาไลฟ์แอตติโกมาดริดกับเฟย์โดดมีช่วง5 ทุ่ม 45ไม่อยากไลฟ์ไม่รู้จักตัวนักเตะก็เลยแบบไม่อยากไลฟ์ชื่อนักเตะไม่ถูกก็ไม่ค่อยอยากจะไลฟ์เท่าไหร่พี่เพื่อนด้วยนะครับใช่ผมใส่เสื้อแมนยูโอ้ผมว่าจะช่วยแมนยูเลยเนี่ยฝากพี่ด้วยนะครับฝากกด Subscribe ฝากกดติดตามให้หน่อยนะครับพี่ฝากกดไลค์ด้วยนะฝากกดไลค์หน่อยยิ่งเพื่อนกดถูกใจเยอะมันยิ่งเด้งหน้าฟีดของเพื่อนท่านอื่นนะครับฝากกดถูกใจให้หน่อยยิ่งเพื่อนกดถูกใจเยอะมันก็ยิ่งไปขึ้นหน้าฟีดของเพื่อนท่านอื่นครับพวกอัลกอริทึมของ YouTube มันชอบคลิปที่คนกดถูกใจเยอะฝากกดถูกใจให้หน่อยนะครับเพื่อนสัก10-20 ไลค์ก็โอเคแล้วครับไม่ขออะไรเยอะแยะแล้วใครจะซัพพอร์ตนะครับเลขบัญชีที่ขึ้นอยู่ด้านล่างได้เลยนะครับเพื่อนๆซัพพอร์ตมาโดยตรงได้เลยเป็นท่อนำเลี้ยงจะได้มีกำลังใจในทำคลิปหรือว่าในการไลฟ์เชียร์ฟุตบอลต่อไปนะครับขอบคุณมากวันนี้ดูไอนอนดูแบบไม่ลงตัวเพื่อนๆแดนหน้าโอเดกาออสซาอาเวตเยสุดดูไม่ค่อยมีความลงตัวสักเท่าไหร่พูดตามตรงเสื้อแมนยูอันนี้เป็นเสื้อแมนยูของซีซั่นที่แล้วนะพี่ไม่ต้องตกใจ
Half time in France in the Champions League encounter between Lens and Arsenal. Half time score Lens 1, Arsenal 1. It was the Gunners who took the lead after 14 minutes when Thomason's poor back pass was picked up by Bukayo Saka. He played in Gabriel Jesus, who finished very well into the bottom corner. But just 11 minutes later, the hosts equalised when Raya's poor clearance was picked up by Lens. And eventually the finish was well executed by Thomason. Half time score Lens 1, Arsenal 1. Half time in France in the Champions League encounter between Lens and Arsenal. Half time score Lens 1, Arsenal 1. It was the Gunners who took the lead after 14 minutes when Thomason's poor back pass was picked up by Bukayo Saka. He played in Gabriel Jesus, who finished very well into the bottom corner. But just 11 minutes later, the hosts equalised when Raya's poor clearance was picked up by Lens. And eventually the finish was well executed by Thomason. Half time score Lens 1, Arsenal 1. Half time in France in the Champions League encounter between Lens and Arsenal. Half time score Lens 1, Arsenal 1. It was the Gunners
บาเยิร์นก็แปลกนะบาเยิร์นยังยิงไม่ได้เลย
when Thomason's poor back pass was picked up by Bukayo Saka.
นี่แฮร์รี่เคนยังไม่แข่งลิฟเลยโคปาเนเกน
But just 11 minutes later, the hosts equalised when Raya's poor clearance was picked up by Lens. And eventually the finish was well executed by Thomason. Half time score Lens 1, Arsenal 1. Half-time in France in the Champions League encounter between Lens and Arsenal. Half-time score, Lens 1, Arsenal 1. It was the Gunners who took the lead after 14 minutes when Thomason's poor back pass was picked up by Bukayo Saka. He played in Gabriel Jesus, who finished very well into the bottom corner. But just 11 minutes later, the hosts equalised when Raya's poor clearance was picked up by Lens. And eventually the finish was well executed by Thomason. Half-time score, Lens 1, Arsenal 1. Half-time in France in the Champions League encounter between Lens and Arsenal. Half-time score, Lens 1, Arsenal 1. It was the Gunners who took the lead after 14 minutes when Thomason's poor back pass was picked up by Bukayo Saka. He played in Gabriel Jesus, who finished very well into the bottom corner. But just 11 minutes later, the hosts equalised when Raya's poor clearance was picked up by Lens. And eventually the finish was well executed by Thomason. Half-time score, Lens 1, Arsenal 1. Half-time in France in the Champions League encounter between Lens and Arsenal. Half-time score, Lens 1, Arsenal 1. It was the Gunners who took the lead after 14 minutes when Thomason's poor back pass was picked up by Bukayo Saka. He played in Gabriel Jesus, who finished very well into the bottom corner. But just 11 minutes later, the hosts equalised when Raya's poor clearance was picked up by Lens. And eventually the finish was well executed by Thomason. Half-time score, Lens 1, Arsenal 1. Half-time in France in the Champions League encounter between Lens and Arsenal. Half-time score, Lens 1, Arsenal 1. It was the Gunners who took the lead after 14 minutes when Thomason's poor back pass was picked up by Bukayo Saka. He played in Gabriel Jesus, who finished very well into the bottom corner. But just 11 minutes later, the hosts equalised when Raya's poor clearance was picked up by Lens. And eventually the finish was well executed by Thomason. Half-time score, Lens 1, Arsenal 1. Half-time in France in the Champions League encounter between Lens and Arsenal. Half-time score, Lens 1, Arsenal 1. So we were about to get back underway for the second half in France. Lens 1, Arsenal 1. It was Gabriel Jesus who gave the Gunners the lead after 14 minutes, and that was actually his 22nd Champions League goal in just 40 appearances for Jesus. A fantastic record in Europe's elite competition for him. And also as well, Lens equalised 11 minutes later. An excellent finish from Thomason, his first goal of the season for Thomason, and the way he took the goal, you'd never think that, to be honest, but it was his first goal of the season. And Arsenal are leading, roaring, sorry, at the moment in France 1-1 as the Lens get us underway for the second half. And this is an opportunity to ask Ben. Obviously an interesting first half, Ben. I mean, a few mistakes in there as well, but an interesting half overall. And obviously, second half now underway, and Arsenal have got work to do.
Well, sometimes mistakes make it more enjoyable, don't they? It's unpredictable. And mistakes
เพื่อนๆบอลมาแล้วครึ่งหลัง
so far, and they haven't really
สองคู่ก็กำลังจะเตะนะครับเพื่อน
you just get the sense of a missed pass or a heavy touch here and there. And the other team is ready to pounce, and sometimes they end at the counter without getting a shot on goal. But the threat is always there. Arsenal, who are always so comfortable passing around the back, which they are again now, is Saliba. He has to actually go long because. But I think it was a cracking first half. We saw 2 goals, and albeit they were essentially due to errors from the opposing teams. But as I said, it brings more excitement to the game. It's still an unpredictable half. Arsenal will, of course, want to get this one over the line with 3 points. I think Lens will be happy with the draw. They are at home, but it is against the in theory, favourites of the group. But it's still 45 minutes to go, and it could go either way.
Absolutely could, as Tomiyasu gets ready to take the throw in for the Gunners. He does. He throws it down. It's Jesus who goes to control it. Can't control it. He can see to throw in. Obviously, Arsenal did lose Bukayo Saka to injury in the first half. Arsenal's one of Arsenal's main men, of course. Saka for so many years now, despite only being 22 years old, has been played such a big part in Arsenal to get back into the Champions League. His evening ended just after around about 32 minutes. He's replaced by Portuguese Fabio Vieira.
ลองแม่งเล่นบี้ถ้าเชนอนขึ้นเกมโคตรลำบากเลยวันเนี้ย
So far for him, it looks a lot more lively than maybe he did last season at times. Ball played forward. He's going to run through to David Raya, and obviously after the first error from David Raya, really, which did lead to the equaliser for Lens.
วันนี้โทมิก็ไม่ผ่านเหมือนกันนะโทมิ วันนี้โทมิอ่ะ
between Raya and Ramsdale, maybe just raise a few more questions now, mightn't it? Of course, you know, you've got to think about that. Of course, if you on Gabriel there has played the ball off his man and out for a throw in, and Arsenal just got to be, a bit careful that they settle into this game, haven't they? A bit more second half, especially.
Yeah, they do, and really the 2 minutes of flying back, we haven't really seen too much. I don't know who'd be the happier of the two teams for that. And it may continue to be that case as Zinchenko sends it back. Another point on David Raya, you highlight, of course, that outside of that League Cup game, he's appeared in 4 consecutive matches. It's so often almost a cliche for managers, isn't it, to have strength and depth in outfield positions. It's a dream, but you never really see it that often with goalkeepers. You sometimes have a standard backup goalkeeper rather than 2 number ones.
เป็นยากจริงเว้ยตัวแบบเนี้ย
But it's a bizarre scenario. It's one you don't see too often. Every manager loves to have strength and depth in every position, and they say every position, but they didn't mean that including a goalkeeper as well. For Arteta, that's certainly the case.
Absolutely, yes. Mendy has the ball now, and he's giving it away.
ไอ้ฟาเวลเวล่า
One back by Jesus Havertz.
โอ้
He's got options to his
อะไร
left.
ของมึงวะ
Trossard takes it in, and it's eventually saved somehow. It stayed out. That was a brilliant chance for the Belgians. It's not been his best night so far. Leandro Trossard. It looked for all the money like he was going to score there.
ไปเฮาเวร์ต
Combination of Danso
สายส่งดิ
originally. He gives it away.
ยิงโอ้ยเอี้ยไม่ได้โอ้โห
Eventually the shot comes in. It hits the goalkeeper Samba, then hits
โอ้ยิงไม่ดี
Danso, and then lands back in his arms. He's very fortunate, the goalkeeper. Nonetheless, it's a save, and they survive on that occasion. Lonza Saliba shields the ball out well at the other end, and Arsenal have a goal kick, but that was an opportunity for Arsenal at the start of the second half to retake the lead.
It was, and we could have had 3 goals from 3 where there's errors. It's poor from Mendy. He's not really looking where the threat is from Arsenal, and they easily dispossess him. And it's a great chop in on his right foot for Trossard. Again, Samba trying to make himself big, and he gets a save in. But you mentioned the danger wasn't over. It hit Danso, and then good reactions again, in truth, from Samba to prevent it from trickling over the line. But it's the first chance of the half, and it's gone the way of Arsenal. It's a really good chance as well. Of course, we're highlighting the sort of ricochet off of the defence, but look before that, and it's a huge chance, really. I'm not saying that Trossard has to score, because he's done well to make the chance for himself. But when you get in those opportunities, you need to find the back of the net, and he's really, if anything, he's hit it down the middle of the goal, where Samba just left a trailing leg.
Absolutely, as Jesus finds Rice. Rice now really has grown into this game, it's fair to say, Declan Rice. He finds Gabriel, who can find Leandro Trossard. Can he step up when this half? Trossard a real chance early on in it. He didn't do much wrong. He would have started a free kick there, definitely a free kick as well. It was Satoka who's the guilty party committing the foul. It's a blatant foul on him, isn't it? He just comes through him there, and inevitably concedes the free kick. So Arsenal do have a dangerous free kick here. Obviously Arsenal, 5th time these two sides have met in their history. Of course, Lons did pick up a victory as better in the first half. It was actually a Highbury, of course, back in the 90s. But Arsenal were victorious in the UEFA Cup semi-final back in the year 2000. But 23 years on, a lot's changed for both sides since. And Martin Ødegaard is about to take this free kick for the Gunners. Kai Havertz on our cameras in the middle. Ødegaard, though we know the Norwegian is capable of delivering a ball of some quality. And he does whip one. It's really poor delivery. Curse to the commentator there. Ødegaard, that's a really poor ball.
พี่ต้าเอาไงดีอะพี่ต้า
Saliba under a bit of pressure from Wahi. Not really been involved in the game, has he? It's fair to say. Obviously, a very isolated figure up there, however.